make that move right now, baby. You better make that move right now. Make that move right now, baby. You better make that move right now. Make that move right now, baby. Make that move right now. You better make that move right now, baby. You better make that move right now. Make that move right now, baby. Make that move right now. You better make that move right now, baby. Make that move right now. You better make that move right now, baby. You better make that move right now. Make that move right now, baby. You better make that move right now. Make that move right now, baby. You better make that move right now. Make that move right now, baby. You better make that move right now. And that song is all in my rock. It's been there all morning. And I don't know why. But I will say this, that if that song is a message to you today, then you need to make that move in the right direction, as I always say, which is towards the Most High. It's another fine day here in the QC, Charlotte, North Carolina. And as always, we're so glad to see it. Oh, that water cold. You can see the coldness on it. I'm at a loss of words. And that's what aggravates me, because I think about that for the next 5 or 10 minutes when I should be thinking on something else. And that's why I can't think of the name of that. The condensation that's on this bottle, because my mind is on this great thought the Most High gave me today. Trying to find my chapstick at the same time. And that's really what was on my mind also. There we go. Now we're on point. And as I was gonna say, I hope everyone is doing well today, as we always like to say. Hoping that you, just like me, or just like I, are able to get out and enjoy this beautiful day the Most High has given us. Getting some sunshine, some fresh air, and hopefully some exercise. Activities we need daily in our lives. Retaining the sun, the vitamin D through the sun. Getting some fresh air, not the stale air in our homes. And walking it out. Working out them muscles. But I just wanted to say the Most High is so gracious towards us all. And as I was taught at this former position I was on, the Most High taught me, always be gracious and thankful for every opportunity that He presents to us. And we have to look at each day as that opportunity to be thankful for, and whatever else He presents to us during that day. But first of all, we must be thankful for the day He's given us, and saying, thank you, Father. I didn't have to make it to see this day, but you allowed me to. You see, a lot of times we think the Most High owes us things. No, He don't. But He's so gracious that He allows us to see a brand new day. And it's a brand new day to show forth His love and grace and His tender mercies. Because I know most folks don't know my story, but I'm not supposed to be here at all. But because the Most High knew that I would act right eventually, oh boy, that's funny to me. Because as I laugh, I think about where I've come from and what I've done, and the many excuses I gave my loving Father and my earthly father as to why I was still walking the plank. Oh boy, what a terrible life I used to live. Terrible, just terrible. And now I know many of us can relate, as we should, because this is the only way to change, is seeing our faults and our shortcomings and making amends or making change. You see, a lot of times it's not really us making a change, but it's bringing before the Father and saying that I need help with this. But I'm admitting my faults, I'm admitting my shortcomings to you, in faith that you're going to do what you said you was going to do. Not only forgive me, but help me to do right, to empower me to do right. But I just want to say thank you to the Most High in public as my verbal testimony on the day. That I definitely didn't have to see this day, but the Most High allowed me to, and He's been so good to Robert Holloway. Okay. And as I said before, I do have a great thought the Most High shared with me this morning, and it is, have you made the love connection? Have you made the love connection? And this was a funny thought as I began to think about it, because the first thing I thought of was the game show Love Connection, where people come on and try to find real love. But as I began to think about that thing, I said to myself, how are these folks gonna really find a love connection when they're asking all the wrong questions? Oh boy. And that was quite funny to me, because most of the time our so-called love connections are made with our eyes, out of lust and superficial love, basically fake love. So in reality, we're basically faking the funk. because there's no real long-lasting satisfaction in what's fake. But as before, I'm going to read over my notes. And hopefully this thought or this idea will begin to take shape in all of our minds today. And the thought of today, once again, was, have you made the love connection? And my text is coming out of 1 John 4:7-11. It says, God is love. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Which, when I say God, I mean the Most High Elohim, or the Most High God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. In this, the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. And this is love, not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. I'm on to that. And this is my subtitle, The Connect. The Connect. True love has to be one, if not the hardest things in life to reject. However, he's rejected every day. That's a wisdom thought. In this season of supposed love, have you ever asked yourself if any of it is or could be real without God, the Most High that is, who the text says is love? Well, I believe it to be, on the most part, totally superficial and emotionally charged, mostly out of lust. Having feelings for someone is subject to change. Therefore, I don't believe in falling out of love. I think in reality, it's more or less the falling out of infatuation, the short-lived passion or admiration one had for the other individual. However, having love for someone means you follow love's example of taking action, as we saw in our text of today. And no, I'm not talking about buying candies, flowers, or even jewelry once a year because it's the one day set aside to do so, or for certain folks to make money. And that's a whole nother subject for another day. And I said a mouthful in that last statement, but let me pull out the main key word, action. And just as the Father so loved the world, his people, we too will get into action and give, not just things, but ourselves, just as the Father did. You see, the text says that the Father and the Son are one. And once we make the love connection, we too will become one with each other and act like what we say. New edition, by the way. All roads end and start with the Father, who is love, and at the end of the day, only what we do for him will ever last anyway. I do believe that the Father set up the love connection of marriage as long as it's done right, the way he intended it to be in the beginning, with his first man, male, and his first woman, female. That not only means the male and female, but also the mature, as we spoke about last evening in our Restoration Center bi-weekly Zoom Bible study. Maturity is one of the keys that opens up doors with the Most High on our behalf, and undoubtedly the most important in making the love connection. Adam and Eve were both mature adults when the Most High established his union. You may ask, Robert, how do you know that they were both mature? Well, that's very easy. Adam walked, talked, and obeyed the Father, period. Plus, he had a job that he was faithful to in naming the animals and tending to his home, the garden. And that was a wisdom moment, or wisdom note. He had a job which was working and naming the animals and tending his home, which was the garden. These are, in my opinion, the signs of a mature man or woman, those who are ready for the love connection, as well as for that which is written in 1 Corinthians 2 and 9. I have not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which the Most High have prepared for them that love him. One might ask, what about Eve's maturity? She messed up, right? And my simple answer to that is that she was right by her man's side the whole time. Puns intended. His side, the rib, get it? Embracing the connect. Embracing the connect. Personally, now that I have learned to embrace real love, the Most High, my life has truly become brand new. This reminds me of a song Dave Hollister sung called One Woman's Man, or One Woman Man, which lyrics reply, everything is different now because I finally settled down. This is the perfect example of the maturity of a man who is truly ready to embrace the love connection. He's at the crossroads of life, weighing the benefits of the old lifestyle versus the new. Which basically in the song Dave is singing about, he ran into an old flame and he's basically telling her everything's different now, I can't go that way no more. I'm settled down, I'm a one woman's man. And the disconnection. Sometimes the love connection is just not meant to be. As I stated in my opening, most folks haven't settled and matured and sadly never will. It's just like following someone on a dirt road. At times you need to follow at a distance, giving the dust time to settle so you can see clearly ahead of yourself as well as seeing where the person you are following is going. And that's a wisdom note worth repeating. At times you need to follow people at a distance, giving the dust, infatuation, and lust time to settle so you can see clearly with your heart and not your mind, as well as time to give the individual you're following a good examination, getting a clear indication of comparability and compatibility. Well, sadly, I must say that 9 times out of 10, after the dust has settled on many of folks' path of chasing love, they end up alone, hurt, and needing real love more than ever. I'm so glad that I have finally gotten on the right track or path, as I now follow love with a clear understanding that all detours and bypasses I followed in the past had only to offer a long way to the wrong destination. As I said before, all roads truly start and end at the Father. I'm so ecstatic that I made the love connection. And my word of today is caveat. Caveat. Caveat means a warning and joining one from certain acts or practices. It's a warning and joining one from certain acts or practices. It's also explanation to prevent misinterpretation, a modifying or cautionary detail to be considered when evaluating, interpreting, or doing something. And with that said, my caveat of today is to remember lust and superficial love is always a formula for disaster and or an accident occurring down a long dusty road while following too close. Have you made the love connection? And the more I think about it, it's nice for me to talk after I read my notes. But when I put down good detailed notes, I believe it's like the fellow that has the YouTube page at the end of his recordings, he say "nuff said." So I believe enough is said. After I have exhausted all the ideas that the Most High has given me during my notes time, or while I'm taking notes from him, because truly it's about him. Just like I said, all roads end and begin with him, and that means all wisdom, knowledge, and understanding begins and ends with him. And basically what he say and what we do for him is the only thing that matters and will last. So I'm learning I don't need to over talk it or be overbearing in these recordings. I just need to say what he's told me to say and let that be it. And like folks say, drop the mic. Have you made the love connection? Okay, stay up and keep pushing forward in the right direction. Shalom. And what I'm really saying is not that I'm gonna just hush, but I'm gonna just be careful with what I'm saying. Because yes, the Most High is speaking to us all the time, but as I'm learning this, I say, as I'm learning, it's not always wise to say everything that comes to mind, because sometimes the Most High wants to speak to us and not to everybody else. See, just like these thoughts of the day he gives me, first these thoughts are for me, and I have to digest them, and then I'll share them. And that's how it works a lot of times when we're out and about and he's speaking to me and through me. A lot of times that's just for me to take home and digest, and then maybe come back later with the idea or the thought that he gave me and share it that way. But I want to be a whole lot better than I was the day before. And that's part of that maturity piece that I had mentioned earlier, and we had talked about on our Restoration Center Zoom call last evening, as I also mentioned before. And see, with this maturity piece is totally opposite of the world's actions. See, when you mature in the Most High, you're acting more immature in the world's standards. You're acting more like a child, or should I say childlike, towards the Father and towards his leading and his guide and his teaching. And see, I think the most important part is, in this walk with the Most High, we're learning that I don't know it all, and that there's a whole lot that I don't know. And see, that's an important factor in that statement. Not only do I not know it all, but there's a whole lot that I don't know. And see, the point about that statement is we're never going to stop learning. And something my mother told me and really made me proud that I'm her son. She said, Bob, I'm never too old to learn. I'm never gonna stop trying to learn from the Father daily. And see, I think that's where I get my tenacity from as far as seeking the Most High and staying in His face. It's in the DNA. And not only that, it took a whole lot of whoopings. Oh boy, it took a whole lot of whoopings before I said, okay, Pop, you ain't got to mention anything you say to me twice. Just say the word. Just say the word. And see, I do a whole lot of laughing and joyous, what's the word? Joyous. How would I say that? Joyous reminiscing. And a lot of joyous reminiscing of times past when I didn't do the right thing. And see, a lot of times this is what keeps me on the straight and narrow. This is what keeps me on the right path. Not only knowing that I was wrong, but knowing the repercussions that came from behind being wrong. Pardon me, puns intended with the word behind. Because it got a whole lot softer as I kept bumping that head. Like they say, a hard head makes a soft behind. And I'm so grateful to the Most High. Like I started off this morning, for the opportunity to live, for the opportunity to breathe, and for the opportunity to have my being in Him, which is, I have my life, my livelihood. What I do daily is in and through Him. And this is just what I do. I'm a vessel, and I strive to be a vessel of honor and not a vessel of dishonor anymore. So this is what I was saying about yapping too much. I can still talk to my folks, but at the same time, I want to learn to be more careful about what I let come out my mouth. Because the Most High told me, and I'm going to tell you just like He told me. He was like, Bob, Robert, I can like you better when you was a little more quiet. And that's not really funny because it's true. And it really was sad. And see, I laugh at a whole lot of things that I have come out of that's helped me mature. And that is one. You see, I like you better when you was quiet. Boy, I want to laugh, but that's so sad. But it keeps me in check. See, that's what checks my spirit now. Not the mistakes I make or have made in the past, but how the Father lovingly checks me. And basically is saying, you need to be quiet. You can't talk so much. Stop, quit talking so much. And He told me this maybe a month or two ago. And this is because I'm starting to get out and make more acquaintances in the faith. And basically what He's telling me is you need to hush and learn something. You can't keep talking so much. Quit trying to share what you know, but what you know is basically coming from a shaky foundation. Yes, you know the word, but listen to other folks' experiences in and about the word. And on that note, I'm going to say shalom. Yes, it is a beautiful day. I just ran across a couple of them folks, and they act sure enough like us folks. or like us folks supposed to be. They were so enthusiastic about being in my presence, even though they masked up. They masked up quick. But they seemed to have a genuine, enthusiastic tone in their voice, I guess you would say. Hey there. Well, hi. And I said, hey there, beautiful day. And the fella said, yes sir, it's a beautiful park. And see, that's respect. Not only did they recognize my presence, but he talked back. And also gave me the respect of sir. And see, I give every man that on the most part. Once again, it's another sign of being at peace with all men. I thought I'd share that since I just ran across it. And two, the idea of keeping that chopper shut. My mother, she used to faithfully tell us, you need to study to be quiet. So much to the point, I began to ask myself, is that in the Bible? Because she's saying that faithfully like it's written in the Word. And I'm gonna look it up after this, but I just remember that. And see, the point in her wise words are, when you study to be quiet, when you do open your mouth, you'll have seasoned words. And see, what seasoned words are, it doesn't mean an old person said them. It means they're ones that you've carefully placed into the atmosphere. You very carefully pondered them and said, yes, this is appropriate to put into the atmosphere. Because the text says we're responsible for every word that we speak. And I think the text says every, in my own words, unneeded word that we are going to be responsible for. So with that said, I want to be more responsible with the words that's coming out of my mouth. Chris Tucker. Shalom. And just as I was saying, which the Most High just dropped into my heart, and this was something I noticed from our Restoration Center bi-weekly Bible study last evening. The pastors were somewhat leading the conversations and the flow of the Bible study. And after I picked up on it, I understood why. It's because we had new folks in on the call. So I'm guessing they needed to be indoctrinated at a slow pace. How you doing? Pretty dog, man. And without a lot of well-meaning words, but those that could confuse them. So I thank the Most High for that, for reminding me of that, and allowing me to recognize that. And that's maturity and wisdom all wrapped up into one. Well, I'm gonna jump on this bike Most High willing, get in these 5.5 miles, then take it to the house. Shalom.